My name is Rafael, you're watching Rock and Roll Garage, and today we're going to talk about two guitarists that the late legendary Eddie Van Halen said he couldn't replicate. But first, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave your comment. Well, let's start. The first one is Mr. Jimi Hendrix. Well, it's quite interesting, and because Eddie was, during his whole career, compared with Hendrix by many because of the impact he had in music, especially hard rock music. He was the one who inspired all those shredders in the 80s, all the Van Halen copies that appeared in the 80s after the first Van Halen records that blew everybody away. And then there was a lot of guitarists replicating him and even playing even faster and shredding and etc. And that's interesting because in an interview with Rolling Stone magazine back in 1995, he mentioned two guitarists he couldn't replicate, and one of them is Jimi Hendrix. And the interesting thing is that Eddie wasn't that much a fan of Hendrix, and he even said he thought Hendrix was sloppy. When playing live, but obviously that doesn't mean he thought Hendrix wasn't a good guitarist. He always recognized how great and influential Jimi Hendrix was, but he thought he was a little bit sloppy when playing live, just like Jimmy Page, for example. And we already talked about this. You can watch this video right here or right here above the video, below the video. But Hendrix was the first one. He mentioned it, and we selected a few things that he said about Hendrix. For example, in this interview with Rolling Stone, he said that Hendrix was great, but he never learned the song by Hendrix except Purple Haze because it was a pop hit. And he said he didn't know how to get Hendrix sound. That's what turned him off about Hendrix, and that's what he said about Hendrix this time. And in an interview with Howard Stern in 2006, Eddie said that this is what Eddie said to Howard Stern about Hendrix. He had all this bunch of pedals and stuff, and I couldn't afford this shit. And then he was questioned if he thought Hendrix was a hack. And this is what Eddie said. No, he did some crazy shit. I don't know. I couldn't afford the wah-wah pedals, the fuzz box, all that stuff, I kind of did my own thing. That's what he said about Hendrix in that interview with Howard Stern. And we move to the second one. And the second one is the late legendary Jeff Beck. And in that interview with Rolling Stone magazine, he said he felt he couldn't replicate Jeff Beck as well. And he said, the same thing with Jeff Beck. I just plugged into my amp, turned it all the way up, and loved the way it sounded. For me, it was Clapton because he was so straightforward. That's why he mentioned Clapton because he was his main influence. He loved especially the Eric Clapton era with Cream, and he said he knew every piece of music that Clapton played until Cream, for example. But he really admired Jeff Beck, and he even mentioned it in an interview with Rolling Stone then in 2011. He said that he really started to listen to Jeff Beck only in 1975, and after hearing for the first time Beck's classic album Blow by Blow, released in 75. And this is what he said: I didn't get into him until Blow by Blow, just the instrumentalness of it, and also the album Wired, released in 1976. He said, interesting stuff in there. I guess it was just the experimentation there that I liked. Jeff Beck is definitely a standalone. You never know what the hell he's gonna do. My brother and I were in France 20 years ago, and Jeff Beck was playing. He was doing a rockabilly thing, and we were like, what the hell is this? you never know what to expect with him. This is what he said about Jeff Beck. And the interesting thing is that Beck also recognized Van Halen's talent. And in an interview with Guitar World magazine in 1985, Beck said this about Eddie Van Halen. He brought tapping to the forefront. I still think he was one of the tastiest players doing it. It wasn't his fault that all these others horrendous people tried to emulate him. I actually saw Eddie play some blues once, and it was really beautiful. It would be great to hear him play more in that style. That's what Jeff Beck said about Van Halen back then. And this is it. I hope you liked the video. There's some interesting information about these guitarists. And please don't forget to leave your comment, subscribe. And if you want to read more and read all these statements, all these interviews, you can look at the sources. You just go to the description and read the article we wrote about it, okay? And also visit rockandrollgarage.com, okay? Thank you for watching, and I see you later.